yo, what is going on with this market right now? Like,
dude, stop talking about it. She's like, oh, this drama that I'm in is because of super Tesla geeks. Where do you think they're going to be in 5-10 years? Eli, every time my cousin buys into Tesla, it goes down 20%. In those situations, you go all in.
I didn't see that, no.
You're muted. Even the richest man in the world, worth $200 billion. If you don't have running water and electricity, it doesn't matter how much money you have. That was kind of like the realization. When I saw Elon's tweet, I was like, damn.
Boom.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tesla Geek Show. I am Anwar Beck.
And I'm Eli. And on this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show, you know what? We don't even know what we're going to talk about. We decided we're just going to let this episode go. We're going to let it hang loose. Homies, Tesla geeks talking about Tesla. But before we jump into the show, I want to say thank you so much to EvanX for sponsoring the Tesla Geek Show. It's thanks to EvanX that we're able to do this show and have our editing costs covered. EvanX is the Tesla community's accessory store. Check them out at evanx.com. All right, bro, let's jump in. What the fuck are we going to talk about today? You know what? I know we're going to start with the stock.
Let me summarize. Hold on. A lot's happened since the last time we recorded. We've been out for a few weeks. Let me catch our listeners up on high level. We realized stonks don't always go up. Texas had a freaking snowmageddon. People here are calling it Snowvid-21 instead of COVID-19. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, I lived through it. I live in Austin, Texas. So if any of you guys are at all like curious on what we went through, is like a debacle with the grid system here, water pipe. I mean, we went to the dark ages for like a week, dude. It's pretty crazy.
It was pretty funny because Stephen Mark Ryan was out there visiting and going like days without food. Because you couldn't call Uber Eats, nothing was open, you couldn't go anywhere. I got there at the end of it, and the streets were covered in snow and ice. It was below 20 degrees. Some of the days above zero, like stunning weather for that part of the country.
And then the third thing that I want to get to at some point during the podcast is just talking about the imminent refresh on the Model S and X. I've got a few friends that have ordered the refresh version. So we'll talk timeline and all that. I've been like diving into it pretty deep locally here in Austin, Texas. So we can just kind of talk about that. I'm sure some of our listeners have probably ordered their S and X's. Dude, I thought about it for a little bit. That new interior refresh looks so sick that I've got a Model 3 SR Plus, but like it looks so amazing. Can we talk about the stock then?
We got to talk about the stock. I was going to say, you know what? I just realized, doesn't matter what you are going to pick. It has to be the stock. Yeah. Today was crazy on the stock market. And let's be real, the last week of Tesla stock, tech sector in general, has been a very sharp dive like this, not stocks.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Tesla get down to what, $560 a share?
Almost, yeah. Do you want to give our disclaimer before we dive into the details?
I mean, yeah, we're not financial advisors.
So everything that Eli and I are talking about are personal opinions and whatever else. So basically, you guys, I don't know how much we've shared in the past. Eli and I are very active investors. I'm pretty close with ARK and ARK Invest and all that. Like I talk to these guys every week almost. Of course, we're massive on Tesla. We're good friends with Gally and Stephen Mark Ryan and the Tesla Daily guys and all that. I mean, I think all of our the general summary is like we're long Tesla, right? This is not just Tesla specific. Just last week was just like, I mean, it was like, there's like this something to do with bonds or something, but basically like all the growth tech stocks that we followed and rode this massive wave, just the wave came crashing down. I was just telling Eli, I was licking my wounds being like, damn, dude, like if you invest in Tesla, this isn't things that you're used to. Like we keep joking stonks, Tesla never goes down, it seems like. But when you get humbled, this happened not too long ago, March of 2020 during COVID. We went through something similar, but this is almost to that magnitude. Things transitioning out of like growth tech stocks into conventional, companies and all this type of stuff. But I'm assuming most of you guys did the same thing. It's just kind of like you realize at a high level, this is all like market dynamics and different things. It has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Tesla or what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of exciting things that are happening with Tesla. So the smartest investors, I think, in the current environment, just sit tight and do nothing. And that's the hardest thing to do, especially when there's all this media frenzy. Like I just now, right before we jumped on the podcast, one of my friends, Heyo, was she's like, oh, this drama that I'm in is because of Super Tesla Geeks. I don't even remember how long ago, but I did get her and her family like interested in Tesla. So these guys invested. Like people that have invested just in the last couple of years, like they probably haven't seen anything. I have a lot of friends that invested like in March of 2020. So they've seen nothing but this like, almost like 10x. So whenever they see these pullbacks, I mean, I've been in Tesla since 2012. So this is something that I'm kind of like, I guess it just comes with like the territory of being a shareholder of Tesla. You realize like there are a lot of these like ups and downs and just some volatility. Eli and I are massive fans of the All In podcast, Chamath Palihapitiya, and like the rest of the guys on there. So the main things that I've learned from those guys, kind of like from Warren Buffett, is it's not timing the market, but spending time in the market. So I'm just kind of staying steady, I guess. Eli, what's your consensus? I mean, like it's been crazy. Like I guess like I'm like everyone's token Tesla guy, and I'm sure you are as well. So like when times are good, there's a lot of, you're getting high fives and people being like, wow, this is amazing. But when they see this and people that don't have, number one, the conviction and maybe don't understand the company as well as we do, they start freaking out when they're seeing like 30%, 40% pullback like this. Like it's pretty crazy, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm one of the big investor guys with my friends, and I more actively trade than you do. So I do have a number of long positions, but I even do short-term options on a number of different companies. Yeah, to my friends, I'm the Tesla guy and the investor guy. So like when things are wetted, I'm getting the screenshots and they're like, whoa, fuck yeah. And then like this past week, it was like multiple like depressing texts of like, yo, what is going on with this market right now? Like they're not sending me screenshots, but they're like, yo, I woke up open down 20%. I'm like, yo, I woke up down 48%. And they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, man. I was like, I wish I had more on the sidelines, but like, I mean, these are dips that like big time investors, like they live for, right? Because like you get every time you have a massive move one way or the other, it goes both ways, by the way. Stocks get ran up too high and they get oversold. I think what we saw based on Tesla's reaction back today was clearly showing that Tesla got oversold because it bounced back 20% in a day.
It's up after hours too, dude. Like
it not basically on news,
we regained everything in one day, basically. Like last week's debacle was regained almost in a day. It's pretty crazy, or at least half of it.
Half of it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Tesla's share price is up $100 today. They're up more in after hours because the stock was oversold. Like it hit a price that was far below what the market was willing to evaluate Tesla at today. So it's awesome to see it coming back. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Chamath because I looked at his tweets. The pullback the last week rocked him, man. He reinvested his thesis. Like he reinvestigated his thesis. He realized he was still right, but even caused him to sell like $1 billion in Virgin Galactic because he's like, fuck, I don't have the money I need to invest in other things I want to do. So it actually caused him to sell a position lower than he could have, considering Virgin Galactic jumped back today 15%. But like, I mean, this is a billionaire. This guy has tens of billions of dollars. He's got Bitcoin, and it still shook him.
I was licking my wounds last week, just being humbled a little bit by this stuff. I mean, it's on the balance sheet, right? Like, but it's still like you do these exercises. Oh, the things I could have bought with the money I just lost last week. And then when Chamath tweeted he lost $2 billion with a B, I was like, I'm good. I didn't lose anywhere near $2 billion. It's so crazy, dude.
And yeah, that's a ton of money. Like it doesn't matter even if he's got 10 billion. Losing $2 billion is when you think about all the things you could have done with the money that you didn't capitalize on, that's what you could do with 2 billion. You could buy, I mean, a country, a sports team, several islands. Like, I mean, what you could do with $2 billion is stunning.
The good thing here, and I haven't been following Stephen Mark Ryan and Galley and Tesla Daily guys. I'm assuming they're saying the same thing here. It's like the people that understand Tesla, understand the future, where the company is going, the fundamentals. It's been interesting because of this drop. A lot of people have been like, hey, should I buy it now? I'm like, fucking yes.
Yes.
Like, this is like, basically a fire sale. And the thing that I'm telling, like, I don't tell my friends or even our listeners, no one, I will never tell you to buy or sell anything. I just don't ever want that on my conscience. I tell people what I'm doing but I'm like, hey, but you do with that what you will. But the main thing that I've told any of my friends, and I recently had a friend kind of going pretty big on Tesla yesterday, by the way, right before the 20%.
Wow.
Yeah. And in a big way. So I was texting him today. I'm like, hey, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But here's what I told him. You know, what's crazy is I was like, hey, here's what's going to happen. You'll most likely double your money in the next year or two. Your financial advisor is going to tell you, he's going to take credit for it. Number one. It wasn't the financial advisor, in my opinion, at all. He just had the conviction, like talking to me, and I sent him a few videos. But I was like, here's what's going to happen. When you double your money, your financial advisor is going to tell you to sell your position. Don't. It's like the main thing that I said. What I urged him and anybody else to do is take advantage, even with where the price is right now, even with the 20% appreciation just went through. Like Tesla's one of those stocks, dude. Like you have a micro piece of like, probably one day the biggest company in the world, definitely one of the most important companies in the world. Where do you think they're going to be in 5-10 years? Like, I just don't see I don't see Tesla being flat. I don't see Tesla going down. I mean, like, yes, you have to get used to, I mean, like, just Eli, since you and I have known each other, we've seen some crazy things happen with the stock. People shorting it and whatever. Like, it's not.
We saw it fall from like 280 down to like 180 a share at the peak of like the short sellers berating the stock as they were trying to ramp up Model 3 production. And we were like, shit, is Tesla going to be around? Like anybody who sold in was obviously made a mistake. But I got some friends that bought, and like I got one guy put like 50K in. He called it his Roadster fund. And like a year and a half later, he owns a Roadster, next gen Roadster, and then some. So
crazy.
And yeah, I mean, this is what happens with high growth stocks, right? There's a lot of volatility. A stock that can move up 10x in a year can also fall 30% in a couple of weeks. But if you move out the length of your chart and don't look at the last week or two, look at the arc of a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then you get a much better picture of the way the company's going. Tesla still has plenty of growth ahead of them. Anytime you make an investment, you should always have a reason why you're investing in it. And the reason could be frivolous to some people, but it doesn't matter. Have a reason for you. Have a reason that you're trading on, that you're investing in. And so long as you believe that reason that you're investing in, you believe that growth's still there, then hold it. If you're investing in a company that you lose faith in the reason why you invested, like let's say you invested in a company because you believe they're going to keep growing at 50% a year. If you at one point say, you know what, I don't think they're going to keep growing like that, then reevaluate, but make it based on something. The best investment advice you could ever have is don't let the emotions of the market affect your buying and selling decisions. And if you're somebody that you can't help that and you get emotional when you see the numbers turn red, then investing in stocks is probably not a good way to go because you're just going to lose money. I think that was advice that Warren Buffett gave, actually.
Yeah. Let me lead in. Speaking, you brought up Warren Buffett. So this, I think a lot of what I'm going to mention, these are ethos and different like things that I live by. And again, I am not this smart. I'm just regurgitating things that I've learned over the past decade of being involved with investing in primarily Tesla. Actually, dude, you know what I realized recently? I hadn't bought anything but Tesla and Bitcoin for the past 8 years, like literally not one other stock.
You also happen to, and I probably not accidentally, made the best 2 buys of the last decade. There's been no greater returns. I think the only one that even reaches that category is like Amazon. And you've owned 2 of the 3 biggest returners. And I'm fairly certain Bitcoin has been the biggest returner.
I guess the number one like principle that and this is all like I'm regurgitating things that I've learned from, Chamath, from the Jason Calacanis and some of these guys. Number one, I think it's a Warren Buffett quote is like, it's not about timing the market, but time in the market. Meaning, my cousin is a great example of this, dude. Eli, every time my cousin buys into Tesla, it goes down 20%. So I was like, bro, I'm like, just assume that it's going to go down. But like, he's been invested in Tesla for the last 5 years. So he's done okay. You know what I mean? So
anytime you bought in the last 5 years, you've done great.
Yeah. So again, not timing the market, but spending time in the market. The other really massive thing that I learned from actually David Sachs on the All In podcast, they talked about how like the main lesson these very famous venture capitalists and angel investors learned is to let your winners ride. So my investment, like I've basically, there's been 2 massive run-ups that I've lived through while as a Tesla investor. I dabbled in the Tesla in early 2012. So the stock was like right around $30, $27 and change. So I saw it go from 30 to 300. So that was like a 10X. A ton of my friends that I convinced to get into Tesla early sold out then. They're like, dude, we're good. So that's the whole like David Sachs, let your winners ride thing. I was like, dude, I would have sold too, but I just didn't know where else to put it, where I thought it would have another opportunity to 10X. And then I saw it go from 300 to just what happened in the last, 12 months to 4,000 and whatever, right? Like it 10X'd again. I think over the next 5-10 years, there's another 10X left in Tesla. So letting your winners ride, I think, is a big thing. The other way, I don't know if this be the advice that I got from these guys that I look up to, like in the financial and investment world, they all are poker players. So the advice that they give is like poker related. They're like, hey, like when you're holding, when you've got the hand, when you watch poker, it shows like you're like 99% chance you're gonna take the hand. Like in those situations, you go all in. Guys like you and I, Eli, we're pretty young. Maybe it's sometimes you could be wrong, but when you have that conviction, like my all-in moments were Tesla and with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was kind of like the Chamath thing. Like Chamath said, 5-10% of your net wealth, if you can't afford it, put it in Bitcoin, just forget about it. That's kind of like a hedge against basically everything happening now, the Fed printing money, cash being worthless in the future, basically. That's the only, it's kind of like insurance. This is how I dabbled into Bitcoin. But other than that, Tesla is like that's my all-in moment. So when you see things like this happen where there's like a 40% pullback, if you're trying to ride the Tesla train, like, yeah, buy. It doesn't matter when you buy. You could have bought. I had some friends just texting me now that they bought at $850 or whatever. That's fine, dude. In 5 years and 10 years, this is all gonna seem cheap. This is all gonna be like anything like below 1,000 even in 5-10 years. It's the Amazon story. I'm thinking the next 10 years is going to be this still massive growth for Tesla, right? We're going to go to like, hopefully in 10 years, we're selling 20 million cars per year. And Tesla is really heavily in the energy business, FSD. We got robo-taxi and all that. But Tesla will get to a similar point like Apple, where you need to put your ego in check. Because there are people like us that made a ton of money in Apple and in Amazon, but there is this like transition. What's the next big growth thing? I still think Tesla is until the year 2030, my conviction of like letting my winners ride is that Tesla thing. I'm holding. I don't know if I'm like Elon where I'll be the last money out, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, like I just don't know where else I can put it where I have the opportunity for 10Xing and being invested in such an amazing company that I'm like proud to be an investor.
Makes sense, man. And you've already done, like, again, you made the smart choice of letting it ride. You're not paying taxes on any of the trades along the way because they've all been buy side, right? I think you've only done one sell ever.
Very small. Yeah.
Very small. Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I mean, like you got in at a great time. And honestly, I think I agree with you that I think people who are getting in today are still getting in at a great time.
Let's maybe transition to the Model Y and S refresh news and all that kind of stuff.
SNX refresh.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, SNX. Everybody's like, wait, what?
People are going to get way hyped if they're like, wait, Model Y refresh already?
I think that's probably the biggest thing kind of happening in our Tesla community right now. Everybody's we've seen, dude, kilowatts is freaking TMZ. I've been saying that on Twitter and stuff. Like, I don't know how these guys, they're always the guys breaking our buddy Ryan. Like they break the news, like they get these like exclusive shots of, new things coming out. So shout out to them. But it kind of seems like they've spotted refreshed S and X's at least being delivered to Tesla's factory.
We've seen some photos posted on Reddit and stuff of them at Tesla, like service centers, delivery centers. So yeah, it seems that they're about to go out, right?
And definitely they spy shots of the yoke steering wheel have been spotted. So that's definitely a thing. We still don't know whether Tesla's going to give us the option of a regular steering wheel or yoke, but we've seen both, right?
We've seen both. Yeah, we've definitely seen photos of cars that had the regular wheel. So that's going to be interesting.
Did you see the spy shots of a potential update to the third row in the Model S?
I didn't see that, no.
There's a photo from a drone above where the cars were parked that looks like the back of the model. Remember back in the day, they made those like turnaround seats where you're looking backwards. Now the spy shots look like they're like third row Model Y type seats that are looking forward, but in the third row of the Model S.
I don't know. It's going to be hard to judge from a drone shot. Actually, you know what? I did see that drone shot now that you're mentioning it.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of it because it just doesn't really look like anything to me, but it'll be interesting to see what materializes out of that. My guess is that's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. So one of my very good friends here, it's crazy. I look up to him like a mentor. He's a early adopter of Tesla. Like I'm pretty sure this dude had like the very first Model S in the city of Austin type, like 2012. I want to say he had, and I kind of poke fun at him a little bit when it comes to like investing and stuff like that. Y'all see that little image that says like, if you in 2012, instead of putting like $77,000 into buying a base Model S, if you would have put the same in the stock today, that $77,000 depreciating asset would be worth like 30 grand. And then the stock is like 6 million. Well, I think his car was like over 100,000. So we're talking like 10 million plus. And every time I bring that up, he's like, dude, stop talking about it.
By the way, that's true though. Any of us who bought a Tesla more than a year ago, by the way. So any of my Teslas, I'd have made $1 million off of both of them if I'd invested the money, but I wouldn't have had a Tesla.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if we knew the 10X run up was going to happen in that type of time frame, I think obviously all of us would have been like, well, I guess we just won't be owners yet. And we would have made that investment. But like no one expected it would happen. When it did finally happen, it would happen to this extent. Maybe 2 or 3X, they'd hit a plateau, move along, do that again, and have this thing. They just kind of went like this for like 8 months. Yeah. Like, again, it's a stock rise that's never been seen in market history. A company has never gone from 30 billion to 800 billion in the time frame that it did. That's never happened before.
Yeah, good point. No, so my friend, he recently, actually, he was already considering getting the refresh Model S. I mean, he's owned it for almost a decade, but like, unfortunately, he got hit in a parking garage, I think, and the insurance basically, like, instead of fixing it, I think they totaled it, and they're giving him 30 something in change for the car. So he's just like, okay, now I was trying to see if you wanted a plaid mode or a long range. So I reached out to the local managers here. So what they told me basically is that, like, if you order a plaid Model S, you can most likely you'll get it in the month of March. So it looks like, and like from the spy shots that we've seen, all that, like, it kind of looks like they're just like about to be delivered anytime now. But if you hold out and try to go for the long range, I was hearing it could be anywhere from like April, May, maybe even June timeframe. So I think like they're definitely prioritizing the plaid cars first, I'm assuming, because of the margins and all that. Still have no direction. I've called like people that work for Tesla and asked, hey, how does the steering wheel work? Will we have an option between yoke and the round steering wheel? And at this point, like, I think even Tesla doesn't really know what's going on with that. So so it's pretty interesting. We'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on, but it looks like it's like imminent. We're going to be seeing these refreshed Model S and X's here pretty soon. So finally, I kind of want to just give you guys an update. I've had a lot of our listeners and friends reaching out, asking about, hey, what the heck happened in Texas? You know, just at a high level, a few weeks ago, we had, I think the entire nation basically had this like crazy, it was a combination of this like Siberian polar vortex. And like, I think it was like 2 or 3 multiple cold fronts that came through, and basically like most of United States was like below freezing. But Texas in particular, and the state of if you guys go look up like the grid. Eli, do you know about this? How like there's like the entire nation is split east and west grid, and Texas is like its own independent grid.
Its own grid right in the middle. So you could tell everybody how well that grid ended up performing under this event.
Yeah, so there's a lot of this like politicking happened, this like Republican versus Democrats. Basically, I think majority of the reason why we lost electricity, the power plants couldn't keep up with the demand, is majority of it had to do with like natural gas power plants, just like the pipes freezing up. There were some wind turbines that froze up because they weren't winterized properly. And then some of the solar panels were covered or whatever. The Republicans, though, blamed it all on like green energy. And they're like, this is what's going to happen if we just like ignore oil and gas and go straight into green energy. Where like
bullshit, because like the reason their wind turbines froze up is they went cheap and they didn't buy the ones that could withstand cold temperature. Like, get the fuck out of there.
They weren't winterized. And not even that, dude. It was a natural gas pipeline. I don't know if they probably weren't insulated the right way. I mean, we just didn't expect this like once in 100-year storm to come through, right? Like, so, but it was crazy. What's crazy is even Elon was wrapped up in it, right? Like he was here. I think he had tweeted out that he was like fleeing Austin to go down to Brownsville, I think, with Grimes and their baby and all this. Like he lived through all this. So I'm excited for the future. Like a person like Elon, who's such a like go-getter, he solves his own problems, scratches his own itch. He saw this like massive problem in Texas. And with the Giga Texas, you know, I'm assuming the headquarters of Tesla will be in Austin. Elon is dedicating a lot of resources to the state in the city of Austin and Brownsville. Definitely. You know, there's rumors that Boring Company is going to be coming here, Hyperloop.
We saw it leak out that that Tesla is building a battery backup for some power grid in Texas.
In Houston.
Did you read about that?
In Houston, outside of Houston. Yeah, Bloomberg broke the news just yesterday. It's like 100 megawatt hour or something. Man, I hope like somebody like an Elon Musk and a company like Tesla, like it's kind of like they're helping our state grid, but at the same time they're helping themselves. I'm assuming Tesla's Gigafactory, they're going to be having like backup upon backup. Like they're not going to, because Elon definitely, if this happens again, they don't want to shut down their, you know, activity because of the Texas grid failures and stuff like that. Most of my friends and family, everybody did okay. A ton of people, like, I don't know what the percentage is, but just like every other person, if at least 50, 60, maybe 80% of people that live in Austin didn't have electricity, didn't have running water. Even the richest man in the world, worth $200 billion. If you don't have running water and electricity, it doesn't matter how much money you have. That was kind of like the realization. When I saw Elon's tweet, I was like, damn. Elon, I guess, hasn't had the time to set up like Tesla Solar and, you know, power walls and all that stuff yet. But at the same time, like, yeah, we learned a lot. Austinites and just like Texans in general about our grid system, about ERCOT, the energy reliability, something or other.
I'll fetch you one. I'll tell you what, the funniest part is your whole energy board, the entire board resigned at the end of all of that. All of them. They're like, we're out. We don't want to be tied to this anymore. It was crazy. I was actually supposed to be out there. I was out there the end of that storm. In fact, I delayed my flight a day because the airport was closed out there. But even when I did get in there, it was like 28 degrees. There was snow and ice everywhere. Like it was wild. And then like 2 days later, it was like sunny and we're wearing shorts.
Yeah. I think the issue was this multiple fronts. Like if it snowed, then that froze. So it was like ice. And then it snowed again. It was like this layered. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Austin in particular went through a lot of issues, kind of like this recovery process. Even like my wife and I, we trekked out to HEB. It took us like 2.5, 3 hours of like walking. I mean, it's like crazy. Like I never thought this would happen. Like we couldn't drive, but we needed to get food and water. So we like walked to HEB. It took us like an hour to get there on foot, waited in an hour line. And then everything was like, I mean, it looked like Armageddon, like end of days, like store, because they couldn't get transport trucks to go and deliver food. Like food was running out. But the reason I'm mentioning all this is I'm not going to get into the details, but Tesla stepped up in a big way. They don't want me to talk about it, like exactly who was behind it, but you can imagine. Like even at a very high level, executives from Tesla reached out and hey, they wanted to focus on Del Valley area, which is kind of like this underserved area in Austin, where the Tesla Gigafactory is going to be. So Tesla, like, they trucked in water from out of state, some distributors from California. They try to like get food. I mean, people like I was actually out there, the Tesla Owners Club of Austin, like a bunch of people volunteered to like help hand out these like, items that Tesla bought for distribution. Dude, like you would not believe the lines, like endless amount of people. And they're there just for like drinking water and food, bro.
That's crazy.
Like it looked like I live in a third world country. Yeah. It was nuts. But Tesla just like, dude, I love this company, man. Like this is why, like, as an investor, as a Tesla Elon fanboy, SpaceX fanboy, like it starts at the top, right? I think it's like Elon's just like humbleness, and he's just like, maybe he learned from the past. You know how every time Elon tries to help out, it always backfires on him? Like when they did the ventilators for COVID, and then when he tried to help the kids that were stuck in a cave, they did a lot this time around by just like stealth mode. Like nobody knew that it was Tesla. They even told me, they're like, hey, just say it's from the Tesla Owners Club type of stuff. You know what I mean?
I said, yeah, to not get wrapped up in it.
Yeah. And even like a bunch of the Tesla employees I know for a fact were out there helping, but they didn't say anything about Tesla. They just like human to human, like just trying to help each other out. So yeah, I mean, I think this is where like within the city of Austin, there are a lot of like tech companies that are here. I'm speaking strictly as a Austinite, as a local resident, not as an investor or nothing like that. There's like a lot of people like Google, Facebook, Apple, all these companies have come here in a big way, but a lot of locals believe they haven't done shit for our community. They just like, you know what I mean? They're here using their resources and all that. But like what I see is Tesla, they haven't even established themselves yet. This factory is not even built. This is the first 5-10% of it, right? But when the community needed them, they stepped up immediately. There's like no questions asked. Like the day before the freeze was like thawing, like these guys already called me. Tesla connected me with the Del Valley Community Coalition and were like, hey, here's a nonprofit that we should work with. Go. Like, and the crazy thing, I don't want to draw too much attention to this because it's a shitty tweet and a shitty organization, but there's a tweet that went out by the Auto Dealers Association, which has 800 followers on Twitter. So that's why I don't even want to mention it, because I don't want people to go follow that horseshit. They tweeted out at the same time as I'm doing this with Tesla, and I know what Tesla's doing. There's a tweet out there, Eli, if you want to look it up. They put Auto Dealers Association donated $500 million in recovery, which I don't know what they were doing because I didn't see anything going on, at least not in Austin. And it says Tesla 0. That's an actual tweet if you want to go look it up. The reason I didn't retweet it or draw attention to it, because I was like, dude, scumbags. Like, Tesla did it and didn't require any attention. They didn't have to tweet about it. They didn't have to talk about it. They just did it. And it wasn't just the donations. Like, they mobilized our Tesla Owners Club. They mobilized their employees and said, hey, go help, but like not, just do it. You don't have to mention Tesla. And the Auto Dealers Association is tweeting this horse shit out. FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and like just trying to make Tesla look bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to shit on Tesla because Tesla's a threat to them, right? Tesla showed up in their backyard, and it's going to take time, but eventually Tesla's going to get the right to sell vehicles directly to consumers. It's inevitable. How long it takes, I don't know. That's crazy they put that out. I wonder if they deleted it, because I'm looking on their Twitter feed now and I don't see it yet, but that honestly does not surprise me that they would send some shit like that.
I'll read it out officially. It says, it's from the Twitter handle Auto Dealers Texas. It says, Texas Auto Dealers thumbs up 50 million annual in charitable donations. Oh, they're not even talking about this fucking thing, the freeze. They just did it at that same time frame. It says Tesla thumbs down 0 in charitable donations.
Oh, I see it. Wow. Yeah, I'm not even going to respond or anything like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even worth it, dude. They literally have 874 followers. So don't like maybe go look at it, but don't follow this shit. Like this is the horseshit that I'm talking about. Dude, like this is the writing is on the wall. Tesla already won. There's no more, you know what I mean? Like you can all the major auto companies, you can combine their market cap and it wouldn't add up to Tesla. The future is here. Basically now what they're doing is they got their heels dug in and they're just like, you know what I mean? Like that's what that looks like. But it's so pathetic when they shit on Tesla like this, especially when I'm telling you guys as like a little bit like an insider or whatever, like they're doing a lot. And it's not just with money and like charitable donations. Like they're like mobilizing people, like being Tesla. Tesla can move quickly, help people. Like it's an amazing company, dude.
They do, and they do good stuff for the world, and it's so stupid. I'm glad the auto dealers thing didn't get any traction because what trash for them.
Zero. How many views does it have? Oh my God, it's got 3 likes. It has 3 likes and 1 retweet.
They probably retweeted it themselves.
Yeah. So it fell on deaf ears, and I kind of wanted to stay that way. But yeah, so those are, I think, the main. It's been kind of slow for the most part. So we talked about the Tesla stonks. We covered the refresh S and X, and then just like a quick recap of the debacle that happened. Snowvid 2021 in Texas. But anything else that's going on in your world, Eli?
No, man. Just I've been hard at work on next episode of The Adventures of Starman. I'm producing my new YouTube show weekly called the Starman Report, also on TikTok. Gonna bring it to Instagram here soon. Yeah.
You want to give the audience a quick update on SN10? That happened last week, I feel like.
Oh yeah, man. SN10 was awesome. It landed a little bit hard, and then a few minutes later, it blew up.
Did it blow up, or did they like
it blew up
on its own? Oh, okay, so Tesla didn't demolish it or whatever, demolition type stuff.
No. There was like a methane leak, and then a few minutes after it was on the landing pad, it boom. Okay. The joke was it flew twice. It just didn't survive the second. It did. When it blew up, it like blew off.
I saw it, dude. Like, yeah, that was crazy. I forget where it's on YouTube somewhere. Somebody was saying like when the government plans these rockets, it's like hundreds of billions of dollars, and it takes 10 years. Tesla does it every 3 weeks. Oh, it was a Sandy Munro or somebody was talking about it like that. Like the iteration and like learning from your failures. Like this is why no one can keep up with Tesla and SpaceX. It's the pace of innovation. It's not only that they innovate and it's like next level. By the time somebody figures it out, they're already fucking 5 years ahead. Like that's the key. I mean, like an easy example for Tesla specifically is Battery Day. And I love the competitors that like to Tesla. And again, like, I'm going to reiterate, I don't shit on any of the competitors to Tesla because I think it's amazing to have competition. It spurs. And like Elon is a competitive guy. So when like Lucid announced that they had, a certain engineering feat the next day or whatever, Elon's like, well, we could do better. So at the end of the day, consumers, we all benefit from this competition. Right before Battery Day, where Tesla's, range, capacity, all the performance stuff on batteries, like, these people were saying they're going to get to that level in 2025. Tesla came in, they were a few years ahead, but once they had Battery Day, they basically like went another like decade ahead type of thing, with the new battery cells and everything going on. So Plaid Plus, man. What'd you call it? Baby Plaid and Plaid?
Baby Plaid and Plaid.
Plaid is going to be insane.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll have to bring some guests on. We'd like to maybe get Sandy Munro, our buddy, Steve Mark Ryan. Steven will definitely try to come on. I think he's prolonged his stay in Austin for another month. So maybe you guys will see him live with me and we can do the podcast together.
That'd be great. Love to have Steven on with us. He's definitely a fellow 11 out of 10.
Yep.
Well, I just want to say to everybody watching, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show.